and only Marc Ryan from 97 won the ticket. I'm glad that you were able to go back across the border from Canada. I just saw your post. Tell us, before we get into Detroit sports, what the heck happened there, and are you okay?
Jay, by the way, man, I apologize. I had something coming up for a few minutes that held me back. Work related, but no. So a week ago, I have been tempted because can you believe it? Canada is south of where we are here. Okay, so like, how does that make any sense, right? But Canada is south, and I am in a suburb called Novi, and of Detroit, and it's beautiful here, Jay. And right now, it's like a winter wonderland. This Floridian is a little bit, fish out of water, but so I've been like, Canada is closer to Detroit than I am, but
God.
I wanted to go visit. So last Wednesday, I get in the car, I got my passport, got everything I need, ready to go. Cross over what's called the Ambassador Bridge, and it really kicked my acider. So I get over there, Jay, and the first question, like, I just expected to drive right over. I don't know what I was thinking, but it wasn't this.
Right.
Okay. And the first question is, what are you going to do here? Whatever I want. Whatever. That was apparently the wrong answer. Okay?
Oh no.
That was apparently the wrong answer. How long are you going to be here? What is time among friends?
Oh boy.
These were not the right answers, Jeff.
No.
The next thing I know, I'm in this other area where I'm strip searched and they're folding down all my car seats. And
gosh.
like, what is this? What is this? What is this? There's nothing in my car that's a problem. And then after that, I'm 45 minutes inside this place that looks like a DMV while they're running a background check on me. I'm told that I made what should be a 1 minute process over 1 hour. Okay, to get in this. But dude, I gotta be. I listen. You live and learn, man. You live and learn. How was I supposed to know that what is time among friends was not the right answer? How am I supposed to be aware of that?
You answered it like only Marc Ryan could answer it, and they just did not get it.
They were not down. They were not down. They were not down. It's got along like a oil and water, man.
You got that right. Well, you know what is getting along a lot better is the Detroit Lions in the National Football League. They have been incredible this year, even sustaining all those injuries, Mark. They get a nice week off, but man, just tell us, what are the vibes right now there in the Motor City as you inch closer to this playoff game this weekend?
Jay, I've never seen anything like it. And there are areas where I think this city is just bursting at the seams. There is area where the city needs to check itself. Jay, I welcome being in hot water. I welcomed it with my Canadian friends at the border, and I'm happy to welcome it here. But one of the first things I saw when I moved here was the Detroit line. They had put up a massive banner on a big building downtown. The banner covered the whole building, and it said 2023 NFC North champs. And I looked at it and I was driving by and I'm like, could you have a bigger advertisement that you've never won anything than like a building site? Because the banner would be the same size if they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
So like, you just announced that you haven't won anything. How about try the Barry Sanders approach? You know him here, right? The Barry Sanders approach, they know him here, who handed the ball to the official and he acted like he'd been there before, even when he hadn't. Jay, I'm still going to stores here and I'm still seeing this year, I'm seeing 2024 North Division champs sweatshirts. And I'm like, what are we doing? You're the champion of 4, like, Jay, we don't buy division championship shirts in Tampa Bay.
Right.
We don't buy division championship shirts here. Winning a division is what you're supposed to do. You don't get flowers for what you're supposed to do. But these people are so amped. They're so into their team. The get-in price for this game against Washington is going to be the highest price of any wild card or any divisional round game in NFL history. These people are devoted to the nth degree, and to be able to be a part of it, man. Like I'm on the Detroit Lions network, and I get to do their pregame, and halftime and post game all over the state of Michigan.
That's
It's
great.
been a real dream come true, man.
That's awesome, and I'm so happy for your success. And
Thank you, brother.
to speak on that, I have a Lightning Eastern Conference Championship T-shirt that they delivered to us, and I was just like, "This is a weird shirt," and I wear it because it's so comfortable. And every single time I look at it, I go, "This is just a weird shirt to have." Like it's such a weird thing to.
But
be
imagine
able to
this.
rock.
Imagine like it's one thing. It's like, okay, if your, moral victory is that you have a shirt that says you went to the Stanley Cup final.
Mhm.
Now compare that to them selling division championship shirts and division banners. It's just like you have now announced for anyone driving through your city that you are the losingest city of all time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the way it goes.
But things are better now, so it looks like things
Yeah.
are going to change because, man, the baseball team with an incredible run. The basketball team beat my Knicks the other night at MSG. The Red Wings, I want to ask you about them in a second. So, I mean, things are looking up. I think it's the
Marc Ryan effect.
It's the Marc Ryan effect. I've been
Ryan
saying
effect.
that for weeks.
Happens,
It's a beautiful thing, man. It really is. Tell us how the fan base is kind of dealing with the expectation that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn will likely not be with the team next year.
About as well as a punch to the playmakers. That is to say, Jay, not well at all.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Glenn was an absolute mastermind in devising the plan to take out Minnesota. Then you saw the Los Angeles Rams utilize that plan. Now, what is that plan? They doubled Justin Jefferson high-low. They doubled Jordan Addison inside out. Whenever Minnesota was in the red zone, they ran man on the outside and zone in the middle. So Minnesota likes to run these crossing routes, when they get down to the goal line. They had man coverage on the outside, zone in the middle. And the combination of those three things, mixing in a few defensive line stunts, totally had Minnesota flummoxed. Completely had Minnesota flummoxed. And that resulted in two blowouts. Sam Darnold couldn't hack it, couldn't handle it. And you have the first time in NFL history that a team with 14 wins went home in the wild card round.
It's wild, man. It's wild. And to be able to watch Detroit do their thing. And even with all the injuries, Mark, I mean, what's been the most successful, like the most impressive thing about this Detroit team overcoming these injuries? What position, how they've been able to rally around? I mean, it's just from afar, it's just amazing that they're still playing as well as they are with all those guys on the IR.
Right. And so I know you asked about the coordinators, and Ben Johnson has a different trick play every single game. Mm-hmm. And it's something that you've never seen before, whether it's Jared Goff stumbling around, looking like he fumbled the snap against Green Bay and then throwing a touchdown pass, to like hook and ladders that are generally considered way too risky to run in an NFL game. They're doing different things all the time. But to the question you just asked, in life, isn't it interesting? We have reasons and we have excuses. And San Francisco pulling the injury card really does feel like an excuse when you consider that Detroit on defense has lost 108 games to starters this year, by far the most in the NFL. San Francisco is at 80. Detroit has lost 22 players of its 53-man roster. Think about that for a minute, okay? They've lost 42% of their 53-man roster, and they finished 15-2. Okay, so what is your excuse? What is anybody's excuse? Detroit doesn't want to hear anybody's excuses, okay? Because of what they've had to do and what they've had to overcome. Now, you're sitting here in the playoffs, and you're looking at the fact that David Montgomery is going to play, but what David Montgomery are you going to be getting? Right. You're going to be without Carlton Davis, a predicament that you guys are familiar with. And you're going to be without Aiden Hutchinson. At one point, you lost 10 different defensive linemen this year. Jay, the vast majority of teams don't have 10 different defensive linemen on the roster.
Right.
So what they have overcome is a miracle. It's a miracle, and it's a testament to what Dan Campbell has built here from a cultural standpoint.
Any chance Aiden Hutchinson comes back at some point?
Okay. Then the question is it smart for Aiden Hutchinson to come back?
Right.
Jay, how would you run this? Here, if I'm Aiden, here's what I do. I acknowledge it's not smart for me to be coming back. It's not smart for me to tell the Canadian border agents, how long am I going to be here? What is time among friends?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not a smart thing to say. I would play if I'm Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
Because when do you ever know if you're going to be back in this place? If you're protecting yourself from injury now, what are you protecting yourself from exactly? You know,
right.
If it's just about money, brother, there's more important things than that. And so Aiden Hutchinson is targeting an attempt to come back in the Super Bowl. Is it wise? Absolutely not. Would I do it? Absolutely. It's one of those.
I'm with you.
It's one of those. Yes, I'm absolutely going to play.
Yeah, shaking your head one way and actually the things coming out of your mouth is the complete opposite. I am with you. Yeah, because you're right, and I worry about it too. You see the Philadelphia Eagles 2 years ago, they go to the Super Bowl. They lose both their coordinators. Steichen goes to the Colts. Gannon goes to the Cardinals. And then last year, they're just an absolute mess. Still got a bunch of good players, but the Buccaneers beat them in the playoffs. And going into this season, didn't know where they were. They were able to get back on the horse, right? Same thing with Detroit. Like I look at them going, yeah, I mean, you got to make the most of this opportunity, regardless of who's out, because you're probably going to lose both of your coordinators. And it's just natural that your team goes through a time of change, because those guys have been so impactful. They've been so freaking good for this team. Give me an under the radar type of thing to keep an eye on this weekend in their playoff game that, maybe the national media really isn't talking about.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Jay. To me, I saw a lot of things in that Washington game, and I'm not sure how you felt about it. I felt like the Bucs were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Tampa Bay wins that game 7 out of 10 times.
Right.
I couldn't believe, and Dan Campbell's known. When I'm critical of Dan Campbell, Jay, it's when he's reckless over aggressive. There's a difference between aggressive and reckless. There's a difference between reasons and excuses. I thought Dan Quinn was incredibly reckless. The 2 field goals give them the lead. They're going for every 4th down possible when they're down there. They got lucky on the last touchdown pass. They got lucky on the field goal. They're in shotgun from the 1 yard line 4 different times. The hell are you doing?
Yeah.
There were so many things that I saw in that game that told me Washington is not a Super Bowl contender. Washington is not ready. You're going to see an attempt to confuse, and I would expect Detroit to try to do everything they could to keep Terry McLaurin covered and to confuse Jaden Daniels, whether that's a mix of zone coverages, whether that's a myriad of defensive line stunts. Ifeatu Melifonwu is a blitz demon of a safety.
Mm-hmm.
I know Rondé Barber was a corner, but he reminds me of Rondé Barber in terms of what he does off of the edge there. And so what you're going to get is a plan for the only way the Commanders win this game is to outscore Detroit. And Detroit is going to attempt to be confusing defensively as much as possible to overcome the shortcomings, because they have practice squad players starting at certain positions.
So and the confidence level's got to be pretty high for a lot of people in Detroit going against. I know I said a rookie quarterback last week. I thought he played pretty well. I didn't look like a rookie quarterback going against the top Bulls defense, but I'm sure there's a lot of optimism and a lot of belief that Detroit, if they just take care of business, they'll be able to come out on top against Jaden in Washington.
I asked everybody here, who do you want to play? There were 4 options of who they could play. Mm-hmm. Here was the vote, Jay. Minnesota, 7%. Los Angeles Rams, 9%. Green Bay Packers, 26%. Washington Commanders, 56%.
Wow.
That's who they wanted to play. They got who they wanted, Mm-hmm. And I am not trying to sound overconfident at all. I don't think Washington can win this game. I don't think this is a winnable game for them. And I understand it's the NFL. Mm-hmm. Bigger upsets have happened. You see 9.5-point upsets all the time. This environment, this game, I don't think this is a winnable game. Had they been playing Minnesota again, I would have said, I'm really concerned. This is the third time. There's no way Minnesota
Right.
plays that poorly again. But Washington, a team that is playing with house money, is well ahead of schedule, was not expected to be here. You know, I just think this is naturally the moment where they bow out. And please send this particular clip to Freezing Cold Takes, should I be wrong.
Is there any apprehension about this team not making it to the Super Bowl? Like, what's the big thing that's if there's one thing that scares Detroit Lions fans, what is it?
So Jay, I run teams through 8 different criteria, and I've been doing this for 10 years. And every single year, I don't have to accurately predict the Super Bowl winner. I tell you the 1 or 2 teams that could win the Super Bowl. Here's the problem. This year, it's the first year since I've been doing this, 4 different teams qualify.
Wow.
Okay? 4 different teams meet the criteria who could win the Super Bowl. Buffalo, Baltimore. Whew, thank God one of them is going to be gone this weekend, right? And then Detroit and Philadelphia. The folks here are up in arms about me because I said, if you played Philadelphia tomorrow, I'm picking the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like to hear that, obviously. What I need to see to pick Detroit is who's coming back. Okay? They're telling us that Carlton Davis is probably not going to be back this season. Well, I don't fully understand the why behind that. He's had a broken jaw. The jaw is reset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out the why behind that. I'm not a doctor, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I'm trying to figure that all out. If you're telling me that Detroit is playing Philadelphia as is, I'm saying Philadelphia wins that game. But I'm leaving open the possibility that depending on who comes back, that my pick could change. That's just not information I have at this moment.
And you never know. Philadelphia might lose some guys, you know, because
Right.
it's a battle as well. Before I let you go, I got to ask you about the Wings, man. I got a bunch of my buddy Jim Costa up there. I got a bunch of friends that are big Red Wings fans. I mean, my goodness, Detroit, the new coach, get Todd McClellan in there sooner for Derek Lalonde. And man, they look like a different team, Marc Ryan.
Todd McClellan. In Todd, we trust. You know who he reminds me of, Jay? Covering Steve Spurrier. Like,
wow.
He reminds me of Steve Spurrier in the fact that he's an old school coach in a new school era who doesn't give a damn about political correctness. Last night, they had a player, Hull, who had a really bad outing, and
Justin
they lose.
Hull, right?
Yeah. They lose at home to the San Jose Sharks, and they asked him, you know, why did you take him out of the game? And he said, did you see his play? He took himself out of the game. You know what I mean?
Boom.
He
Yeah.
took himself out of the game, okay? But because of his play was so poor. You know, did you see his play? He took himself out of the game. This team needed a kick in the ass, a kick in the backside, you know, to get going. They were going through the motions. One of the best pieces of advice, Jay, I ever got in our business was, if you're not excited as a host about what you're talking about, why would your audience be?
Right.
Okay. So they had a coach, Derek Lalonde, and I'm glad they left him all alone. See what I did there? They had a coach who didn't inspire anybody.
Right.
His press conferences were boring. Everything was politically correct. There was no juice. There was no enthusiasm. He had a team that was like punch in, punch out, clock in, clock out, going through the motions. Now they have an ass kicker, and now they have somebody who holds them accountable. And it is the most pristine, beautiful thing I've ever seen. What is this team's ceiling? I did a show at Little Caesars Arena for the Red Wings game on Sunday, and I said, I would put the ceiling for this team now as conference finals participant.
Wow.
I think they could go that far. And I also do believe that Steve Yzerman in year 6 should have to make the playoffs to keep his job.
The Yzer plan. Yep.
Yeah, the Yzer plan. Jay, in our fields, do you get 6 years to be bad?
Not
you
at
like
all.
it's like you know, in our field, you don't get 1 year to be bad. You know, he's had 6 years with no playoff berths. You got to have a plan to get into the postseason now. Nobody gets 6 to 8 years. The difference between Yzerman here and Yzerman there in Tampa Bay, my home of Tampa Bay. The difference is that he was really finding middle round finds in Tampa Bay. He's not doing that here. His first round picks are good. His middle round picks have not been good. The depth on the team isn't there. The stars on the team play like stars. And then the middle of the pack guys, the third and fourth line guys play like they're in the ECHL, and that's a really big problem.
Yeah, I know Al Murray, the head of scouting here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, the guy that helped put together the Kings teams with Kopitar and those guys. He was the guy that found all of those mid-round stars for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But hey, you never know, Mark. I mean, now could be the time that they find their groove, and you never know. Guy that gets called up could be that next Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Andre Palat. You never know. The great Marc Ryan from up there, 97 the ticket. Marc Ryan on air, talking all things Detroit. Mark, I'm so glad of all of your personal and professional success and happiness. I always try to tune in and listen to you when I can, and I always keep an eye on you on social media. Appreciate the love and support, my man. Enjoy the games this weekend, and have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
I need to say something to you, too.
Go ahead.
I need to say something to you. Guys, they say, and I have been, we've all lost jobs in our industry. And I have been where Jay has been, and I could be where Jay is tomorrow. And what I want to tell you is I reached out to Jay right after it all went down. And you have never met a guy who lost a job who had a better outlook and a better attitude. And they say that in life is 10% what happens to you and 90% what you make of it. And Jay Recher not only is an incredibly talented person, but he gets after it, and he's got a great attitude. And 86% of your life is going to be your attitude and how you.
Oh, we lost Mark when he was saying the nicest thing ever about it. That's so ironic that we lost him. Oh, he's back.
Wait.
Ahead.
I gotta call Jay. I gotta call Jay, and I don't know. I'm not wise enough to know how to prevent the call from knocking me off.
Right.
But you, 86% of your success in life is due to attitude. You've got the right attitude, my man. The world is your oyster. Whatever you want to do is what you will do. I'm incredibly proud of you, and I continue to be proud of you. It was an honor to work with you, and it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my friend. Hold on. Marc Ryan. Right now, the check is in the mail right now, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Keep up the great work.
Available for representation. Yes.
You're the best, my friend. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the game this weekend. Thank you.
I miss all you guys in Tampa. Be well, guys. Take care.
We miss you too.